all eyes around the state, around the country, around the world are on the Indiana Fever. And Bria, this is going to be a lot of
Diana Taurasi needed 565 games to do what Caitlyn Clark completed in just 41.
Think about that.
In the history of professional basketball, we might be seeing an unprecedented rookie to sophomore leap.
You know, DB is somebody that, he's a Hall of Famer, like a legend, not only a good basketball player, a great person, a great leader. The strongest voice in our locker room is hers. And it's fun to have been around here now for about a month just to get to learn from her and soak it in. And I'm really happy she got to do it at the free throw line and all the fans could go crazy and cheer for her because she certainly deserved that moment. And it was really awesome to see and be a part.
While everyone is excited about her triple-double, Clark and the Indiana Fever actually shattered 11 records from that game. You won't believe what I discovered after carefully examining every second of the Fever's destruction of the Chicago Sky. A night that permanently altered the WNBA record books began with Caitlyn Clark's triple-double. I've got the Fever down there, so leave a remark if you're killing it with Indiana.
Come on.
Having the Fever organization be what it is today, it is just so fun to be a part of. There's been a lot of anticipation.
You've done a great job in training camp leading to this moment. Enjoy it. Okay, go out there and have some.
That evening, when everyone's attention was focused on Caitlyn Clark, something genuinely historic occurred that nearly went unnoticed. Dana Bonner was only 7 points away from basketball immortality when she took the court.
Consider that.
Thousands of baskets, 15 years of professional success, and the prospect of being the third highest scorer in WNBA history.
All right, y'all. Hey, good stuff. Okay, we did a lot of really good things. I thought our defense was really good. And when we had lapses, we played through possessions. All right, so we made things happen. Y'all, overall, just hell of an...
With all the Fever frenzy going on, would anyone even be aware of this milestone? As the game versus Chicago got underway, there was the question that hung in the air. Since 2009, Bonner has been making baskets, and during his time with Phoenix, Connecticut, and now Indiana, he has gradually risen through the scoring ranks. She was only 7 points short of surpassing Tina Thompson on the list of all-time greats.
Bonner is the fourth all-time leading scorer in WNBA history, and in her first game with the Fever, will likely move into third all-time. She's currently just 6 points behind Tina Thompson for third on the all-time scoring chart.
In the last quarter, the time finally came. Bonner had to make 2 shots from the free throw line. In front of an enthusiastic audience, the first one swished in and tied the record. With the second one, she surpassed 7,488 career points, becoming only the third player in the WNBA's 28-year history to do so.
Not the first one in your career, but you had 4 blocks out there. That's more than you ever had in college. Matches your WNBA career high. Felt like you were channeling the spirit of Gabby Marshall out there with the blocks. Is that a part of your game that you've been working on the postseason? Are we going to see more blocks out of you as your career rolls on?
The way Bonner has changed the culture of the Fever is what makes her accomplishment even more noteworthy. This isn't just an elderly celebrity vying for fame. She is a 2-time champion and 6-time All-Star who offers winning DNA to a youthful team in need of direction. Players like Lexi Hall, Kelsey Mitchell, and Clark Boston pay attention to what she says in the locker room.
One more free throw for Bonner. It's in the air, and it's good. Dewana Bonner now third in WNBA history in scoring. 7,489 points and counting.
And here's the ovation for Bonner.
When the PA's speaker announced the milestone, the Indiana audience gave her a standing ovation. It demonstrated that basketball fans still recognize excellence that spans decades, even in this age of viral highlights and youthful superstars. It was more than just a personal accomplishment for Bonner to rise to the position of third all-time top scorer. It laid the groundwork for a night of performances that will smash records. At 7,696 points, Bonner is now only surpassed by Tina Charles for second place on the all-time record. Even though her accomplishment was remarkable, the evening was only getting started. Everyone was going to be reminded of why Indiana's future is so terrifyingly promising by another Fever star. When Aaliyah Boston faced Camila Cardoso, a fellow South Carolina alum and 6 feet 7 inches tall, some wondered if she could really dominate. Against the Chicago Sky, those detractors received the strongest conceivable response.
Bonner, who knocks it away. Cookies, TV, open court, right side, and she lays it in.
Boston had something to prove going into her third season. She wanted to be more than just a fantastic player. Together with Clark, she aimed to become a key member of the team that would dominate Indiana for the ensuing 10 years. The start of something unique that is developing in Indianapolis. The Chicago front court arrived with a lot of bragging rights. All week, Angel Reese had been discussing her strategy for dominating the paint versus Boston. Press conferences, Instagram posts, and even warm-ups. Reese expressed her belief that she would win the match. Boston's response was an incredible defensive demonstration. Shots from Sky players flew into the stands after 5 blocks. Fans would jump out of their seats and point at the scoreboard in response to such denials. Boston appeared to be waiting for Reese every time he went up for a shot. She now holds the 6th highest block total in Fever history, thanks to Boston's dominant defense.
Not really something you can work on. I don't know. I felt like I had active hands. I had some pokes when our post players were playing good defense, and coaching staff has just challenged me to try to be a better defender every single practice and just getting better in that area. I still feel like there's a lot of room for me to improve. I don't think any of those blocks were too obvious. You look at the stat sheet and it's like, oh wow, 4, but you can get your hand on there and help your teammate out. It makes the world of a difference.
Not only were those 13 rebounds outstanding, but they were also historic. In just her 3rd season, Boston's performance put her 8th in rebounds in Fever franchise history.
Consider that.
Boston is already among the top 10 all-time, and players have been grabbing boards for the Fever for decades. With 19 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 blocks, Boston was in extremely uncommon territory. She became the 2nd player in WNBA history to start a season with more than 15 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 blocks. The first was Natasha Howard in 2014. For any player, let alone one who is only in her 3rd year, that is exclusive company.
There it is! A triple.
Throughout the entire evening, the relationship between Boston and Clark demonstrated flawless chemistry. She was always big for easy buckets, according to Clark. A wonderfully timed bounce pass here, a high-low pass there. Boston continued to guard the rim as if it held state secrets in the meantime. Boston sealed the door every time Chicago believed they had a lane to the basket. Reese did pull down 17 rebounds, but her offensive performance was terrible. She struggled to score during Boston's precisely scheduled games, shooting just 5 for 14 from the field. The highly anticipated game ended up being a defensive timing and placement masterclass. The most astounding display of defensive prowess, however, was when Boston and another teammate combined to set a record that was unprecedented in WNBA opening night history. A collaboration that would make scoring wings and guards throughout the league reconsider how they attack the Indiana defense. Not only was Caitlyn Clark's performance against the Sky spectacular, in the WNBA's 28-year history, we have literally never witnessed something like it. Nobody has ever achieved what she did in the first game of the season. No one, not even Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, or Cheryl Swoops.
Yes, great job of those long arms of Aaliyah Boston here, going up multiple times and then...
Clark had high expectations going into her sophomore campaign. Fans were curious about what she would do for an encore after she broke 62 records in her rookie season and turned the Fever from a lottery club to a playoff contender. However, no one foresaw what would transpire against Chicago. Clark was already on fire early in the game. In the first few minutes, she hit 3 logos, the type of shot that causes opponents to shake their heads. As it passed through, the ball hardly made contact with the net.
Ready for the season to tip off. It's the Fever against the Chicago Sky. We saw record crowds a season ago, and I'd say they are back and raring to go in 2025.
That was only the start. She dominated on both ends of the floor, as if she had spent the entire offseason with one purpose. Clark began to thread needles with seemingly impossible passes, spotting passing lanes that no one else could see. She outjumped taller players with precise timing to collect rebounds. Most unexpectedly, though, she blocked shots like never before. Her 4 blocks became the most blocks by a point guard in a season opener in WNBA history and set a career high. Everyone who believed that defense was her weakness was taken aback by this. These weren't only mediocre competitions either. The team as a whole was inspired by these strong rejections. When they combined for 9 blocks, the most by any pair in a season-opening game in league history, the Clark-Boston connection peaked.
Consider that.
A center and point guard combined for 9 blocks. That type of defensive impact is typically saved for Twin Towers front courts rather than guard-center combinations.
The Indiana Fever faced off against the Chicago Sky in a blowout victory, and I have 3 words. Oh my God. Or now you know.
Excitement grew around the arena as the 4th quarter got underway. For history, Clark only needed 2 assists and 1 rebound. As she pursued the first ever 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and triple-double in a season-opening game, the audience was on the edge of their seats. Fans held their breath each time she passed the ball. They watched to see if she would grab the board after each failed shot. With less than 5 minutes remaining, Clark made a flawless pass to Aaliyah Boston for a mid-range jumper, earning her 10th assist. The audience erupted. She returned to the game a few minutes later to get her 10th rebound, causing complete chaos in the arena. Everyone was aware that history had been made. Clark's performance of 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists was more than just her 3rd triple-double in her career. As a result, she was ranked 3rd on the list of all-time triple-doubles. She tied Alyssa Thomas for the 2nd highest number of 20-point triple-doubles ever and became the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 3 career triple-doubles in just 41 games.
There it is! A triple.
The most astounding statistic, however, demonstrates how quickly Clark is changing the record books. She is currently 2nd all-time to Courtney Vanderloot with 9 games with 20 or more points and 10 or more assists. Even more remarkable is the fact that she accomplished this in just 41 games, whereas Diana Taurasi, who also had 9 such games, needed 565 games to do it. To reach 10 such performances, league Courtney Vanderloot had to play 430 games. That's what sets Clark apart from all the other players in this league. She's accomplishing in her first 41 games what it takes most players their entire careers. Not only is she busting records, but she's also upending our perception of what a professional basketball player can do. Consider this. Clark will surpass all previous significant WNBA point, assist, and triple-double records if she keeps up even a small portion of this pace. All is said and done. That's not an exaggeration. That's math.
Caitlyn Clark is a superstar. Not a female superstar. She is a superstar.
We were coming to see Caitlyn Clark play.
She moves the knee.
There is more to what we just saw against the Sky than a victory. A dynasty that could rule women's basketball for the next 10 years has begun. The Fever's 35-point thrashing of Chicago is more than just a typical triumph. It illustrates what occurs when talents from different generations come together at the ideal time. This was the second largest victory margin in Indiana Fever history, so it wasn't your typical blowout. Although detractors would write this off as a single game, the statistical data reveals a different picture of what's truly going on in Indiana. It is not an anomaly that 11 records were broken in one night. It serves as a warning to the other teams in the league.
She just absolutely did it all and became a magnet for attention and an icon for sports fans, certainly little girls, certainly mine as well, playing her basketball and watching her play.
The Clark-Boston connection is changing more quickly than anyone could have predicted. They're building two-way camaraderie that extends beyond scoring, as evidenced by their combined 9 blocks. It was not intended for that defensive alliance to develop so swiftly. The majority of experts estimated that it would take years for them to reach this degree of collective judicial awareness. Rather, as a duo, they're already breaking records. The balance of this group is unparalleled. Clark is a sophomore sensation who is setting records at an unprecedented rate. In Boston, you have a dominant big man in his 3rd season who is already breaking franchise records. Leadership is provided by seasoned players with deep playoff and championship experience, such as Bonner, Howard, Sydney Coulson, Brianna Turner, and Sophie Cunningham, and young stars like Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hall, who are entering their prime.
Well, the regular season is here, and we have no more time for flirting, folks. We have no more time. It's time to get serious about our business. And Caitlyn Clark handled her business game 1. 20, 10, and 10. 20, 10, and 10. Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever, what did the kids say? Belt to ass? Oh yeah. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. Indiana Fever destroy, obliterate, run out of the gym the Chicago Sky. 93-50.
It's difficult not to feel enthusiastic when you see how fast this team is developing. The spacing is ideal. They have excellent defensive rotations. The ball moves in a remarkable way. Young teams don't usually do well in these areas. The Fever, however, is making it appear simple. This goes beyond a single night that broke records. It's about seeing a team come together that has the potential to revolutionize WNBA basketball and win numerous titles for Indiana. The basketball equivalent of watching the early Chicago Bulls before to their championship runs is what we're witnessing. You can sense that something unique is beginning to take shape. The most thrilling aspect is that this Fever team, Boston, and Clark are only getting started, and the rest of the league should be afraid of what is ahead. If they're shattering 11 records in one evening, what will happen now if they truly find their rhythm? When the team's synergy hits its peak, what happens? It's more than just a nice squad enjoying the evening. In women's basketball, this marks the start of something monumental. From this point on, the Fever's advantage over the rest of the league will only grow. They prevailed 93-58. It wasn't just a game that the Indiana Fever won. They defeated the Chicago Sky by 35 points to establish themselves as a dominant force in women's basketball. In franchise history, that is the second largest margin of victory. You're not simply watching basketball when a team breaks 11 records in one night. You are directly witnessing the unfolding of history. Furthermore, this Fever team may only be getting started. Whether Caitlyn Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and the Indiana Fever will set more records this season is not the question. How many more will they break before they're finished? That is the question. I've got the Fever down there, so leave a remark if you're killing it with Indiana. To ensure you never miss anything, like, subscribe, and enable all notifications.